My name is Kelly Henson, and I am the Director of Marketing and Brand here at DBA Platform. And our mission is to help get your business found through local platforms. Many of you already know that we are a premier software solution, and we help businesses manage their local presence at scale through the most popular consumer platforms. That includes, Google, Bing, Apple, and everything in between. So today we're going to be covering some important topics that have kind of developed over the last month or so. It's been a minute since we've done one of our general webinar updates, so excited to have today's host on to kind of go over some of the more general updates that have been heading our way. The topics will include the core update from Google, some information about Google Ads, including Performance Max, which if anyone on this call is running ads, we know that that's their current obsession and what they're pushing. So we have some new information headed y'all's way today. And then we will conclude with a live Q&A. So make sure to stick around for that. We can answer any questions regarding today's content, or if you have a general SEO or local SEO question, we can also do our best to get to that at the end of today's session. And then quickly, just want to cover the panel at the bottom of your Zoom. You'll see a big Q&A button. That's what we want to push everyone towards. So answer or ask your questions there. You'll be able to upvote your questions as well. So make sure to upvote any questions that you see come in, and we will do our best to get to them in the order that they're received and how many people upvote them. You can also chat us, but that will be a private chat. So if you have a question and you think it may be helpful for everyone, make sure to ask it in the Q&A. And then introducing our two speakers. So today we're bringing together the SEO perspective and the ad perspective, which we're really excited to do. It's something that we haven't done in the past. And according to Justin, in the realm of Google, if you're actually working at Google, those departments don't interact very often. So we're really excited to have two different perspectives joining together to give you the best information and make sure that you know how to make the best decisions for your business. Justin is actually our SVP of advertising. He was at Google for about 11 years, and we've been lucky enough to have him for, I think, 8 months. So almost a year at DBA Platform, but he spent a lot of time at Google. So we're really excited to have him, and he's already been able to help many of our clients see success through different advertising solutions, including PMax and including vehicle inventory feeds. So he's been a great addition. And then next up, we have Jan Gilbert, and he is our product expert here at DBA Platform. And he also has a lot of other things going on, from being the creator of Local Falcon. Local Falcon just released their Apple Maps grid tracking system. So new and exciting things going on over there. And then he's also one of the few Google Platinum product experts at Google. So we're happy to have him and always value his opinion and input on the most recent changes in the industry. So I will go ahead and hand that over to him, and we will get started on today's content.
Super. Thanks, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I always start out with the new categories. Google keeps updating itself, and we have to keep on track of all that stuff. So we skipped last month's webinar with the categories, but here are a few ones that got added in the last month and a half here. So not too many important ones for local SEO, I guess, but if you're in those niches, then it's going to be important for you. There's the list of previous editions, which were pretty, tile cleaning service that would, there's a bunch of people doing that for SEO, so that might be important. There's also been a lot of category name changes, which I'm not listing here, but Google updated a bunch of names to, instead of saying like a roofer, it was a roof installation service and things like that. So there's a lot of updates for the categories in English just to be more consistent. And so, but that doesn't change anything as far as the rankings. There's no new categories in there besides the ones being listed here. Other Google news for the profiles is there's always ongoing bugs, and this one doesn't affect a lot yet, but there's uploading issues when you're trying to create a post and you're adding an image, or if you're adding an image directly, you might get an error of some kind where it says you can't do it, and so you can't create your post because of that kind of error. If you really need to try to do the post without the image, it'll go through, and then sometimes you can add the image afterwards. That's one way to bypass that error. It's been an ongoing one for a little while that Google's trying to work on. Sometimes it's not Google side issue. Sometimes it's your issue where you're logged into too many accounts, and then the browser screws up. So you might want to log out and log back in. Sometimes that fixes the issue too. The attribution deselection issue is still being worked on. Basically, in the attributes in your profile, if you either have a yes or no choice, and once one of those choices gets selected, you can't undo it. So you have to pick yes or you have to pick no. When sometimes you don't want either one showing up, because it'll show up in the display in the SERP somewhere, and it'll say does not provide or does provide, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And so you have to contact support and try to make them understand that you don't want these things either on or off. And it's a real pain in the butt, because half the time support doesn't even understand what you're trying to talk to them about. So that's escalated, and Google is hopefully going to fix that soon. And then the last error that commonly happens is the video verification. So this is for new listings. If you've uploaded a video and it just sits there and processing, it should be done within a day or two, maybe even 3. But if you, after 3 days, it still says processing, you should go ahead and contact support. It happened to one of my listings recently, and you contact support, and then they basically either the video is good and then your listing will go live, or the video is not good and then the processing error will be gone, but you'll have to re-upload a new video. So one or the other, but contact support when it's after a few days if you're stuck in processing there. So lots of new stuff for local. There's been a bunch of Google updates, and I'm not going to go into detail for all of them. The last one was the November core update, and that just ended a couple days ago, which one a little bit odd because it lasted almost 4 weeks, and usually they only last 2 weeks. The core updates do impact ranking, like the local rankings, the map app rankings. There was a blip around the November 7th or 8th where rankings were really odd for the local map packs. And so if you've run like local Falcon scans around that date, 6, 7, 8, and you see like, oh wow, rankings really shifted a lot, they kind of went back to where they were before. So you might have, like, I would say don't ignore them, but don't really pay too much attention to the scans on those dates. You might have to rerun them. If you're running once a month and they run on that date and you see something drastically different, it might be back to where, or similar to where it was before. So don't go crazy on that one. Otherwise, the core update is still, we're still analyzing it. It just ended a couple days ago. So we're gonna, in the next few weeks, we're going to see what comes out and see what's going on. There's something called the Google Reviews update, and if you've seen that, that doesn't have anything to do with the local map reviews, the profile reviews. This is reviews for products on pages to get rid of spam and affiliate sites in the actual organic results. So the reviews update isn't an update for the Google profile. So I just wanted to make that distinction. In general, there was the helpful update too, helpful content update. We're seeing a lot of sites like Reddit and Quora higher up in the SERPs now. So I would go and do some keyword searches or even some brand searches, and just make sure that no Reddit threads are coming up high that have any negative impact, because people do tend to go to those Reddits because they know it's user generated content that Google is trying to service a little bit more. So just take a look at, do some manual searches and just make sure that there's nothing really negative showing up in any of those Reddit threads, because some people, in the local communities, they talk about all kinds of businesses and what's the best place to go for this thing, and then so you might have an opportunity to add your own answer there as well. So there's opportunity there. The social media links were added a couple months back, or a month and a half ago. So if you haven't done that, you can do that now. The general idea here is they're not going to help rankings yet, but when Google goes to the effort of adding something that they didn't have there before, before it was automatically being added, right? So your social media, YouTube or whatever, was pulling into your knowledge panel automatically, and that was like that for years, and you couldn't control it. But now they're letting you do that on by yourself, and so when Google goes through all that effort and development to let you do that, there's a reason for that, right? And so at this point, we haven't seen any rankings lift for adding those, but in the future it might, and they might be checking, how active those social media profiles are and things like that. So I would go and make sure you fill those in when you have opportunities for your clients, for example. There's something that came out a couple weeks ago, and Kelly, if you want to share that in the chat, let me just give that to you. It's one of the links that you sent me yesterday. There, I just slacked it to you. If you want to put that in the chat for me. There we go. Sorry.
You're good.
There was an interesting, and I'm going to go into detail later about it. When Google sends emails, like these marketing emails, a lot of them are like, oh, we've updated this, we've updated that. A lot of times they bury interesting things. And yeah, it just seems like general marketing stuff, and you're like, blah, 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 delete. But in this case, there was one that was interesting, and I'm going to show you a little bit more detail on that. And then the business profile reinstatements are changing. Not for North America yet, but it's changed in Europe. And I'm going to show you a couple of screens, and we'll go into detail there. So they're not going to be in order here. So here's the list, the maps list feature that Google has added. And in spot number 2, as you can see here on that URL that Kelly just shared, they're talking about adding a way to add listings or places, but a place is also a business, right? Business listing onto a list, and then you can share it. And so Google is rebuilding that Google Plus kind of networking stuff, where you can start interacting with people. And here's a list of things, of places to go, and you can share, you can comment, you can, put these emojis and things like that. Again, when Google is adding features, I don't think it's going to help ranking right away, but eventually Google is going to collect information. How are people using this? Can we use this data to help people find the right businesses? So again, I don't want to go and like start spamming map lists, but it's just one of those new things that we want to pay attention to if Google is adding it.
Yeah, and Jan, if you don't mind me chiming in there, I think it's also an interesting indicator on how Google is trying to stay relevant to kind of the younger content user-generated, user base, right? We see a lot of people searching on Reddit and TikTok for things of like where to go, right? They want recommendations. They want to know how to plan their entire day when they visit a city. And so having these tools that content creators can use to kind of amplify businesses or share with their network, I think this is a subtle way that Google's kind of responding to that shift, but still trying to remain relevant within their own platform.
Yeah, so even if it doesn't help SEO rankings, if we're shifting over to more like user recommendations, we don't know where it's going to go yet. Like Google is slowly rolling this out, but it's just I'm at the the forefront of all these new things, and how is Google going to do it, and what can we use it as an opportunity, let's say. The reinstatement process is still in flux. So in Europe, they had to roll it out very quickly because of the laws over there. And so Google it hasn't rolled it out in North America yet. But basically, I only have a few screenshots here. I didn't want to go through the whole process because it won't affect most of us yet. But at this point, you're going to, instead of submitting a form and then you're getting an email back from support, and then you have to go back and forth in emails, they're trying to avoid that. And so you're going to have you'll fill out the form, and then you'll manage through like a dashboard. It's going to say, especially if you're in an agency, it's going to show you which ones you've applied for reinstatement, what step you're at. Here's your information, like add your information. Once you're there, you're at a certain step, it says you have 60 minutes to submit. So go ahead and make sure, especially if you're working for clients, get all the information ahead, get all their documentation, get their pictures of their business from the outside with the signage. Make sure you have everything necessary ahead of time. That way you're not scrambling, because when you start to submit this, there's not going to be back and forth with Google anymore. It's like, oh, I forgot to add, or the client is sending me this, so I have new stuff to add, and it's 2 weeks later. That's not going to fly anymore. We have to submit it all at once, and then they review it, and you either get a yes or no. That's basically what's going to happen. So go ahead and make sure you collect all that data and all of those pictures that you need ahead of time, because they're really trying to simplify the process on both sides, for you and for their support team, to make sure that they can make a decision, and that's it. Once you submit an appeal, there'll be a screen similar to this, where it'll list which ones you've submitted, the date you've submitted, and what the status is. Is it rejected or approved? And there's a progress bar as you go through there. So again, it's not rolled out from North America, but this is coming soon. It might be a little bit different here than in Europe. In Europe, because of the laws there, there's going to be an extra appeal process, where in North America there may not be an extra appeal process. So once they say no, that might be it. Where the product experts are really trying hard to push for there to be one extra like appeal, if you want to say. But we don't know what Google's going to decide. So again, get all your stuff together, and make sure that you can legitimize the business properly once, if ever, a listing gets suspended. Let's jump to the core update. So this is still, in analysis phase. It just ended. We're going to find out what's going on. There's been a lot of updates recently in the last month, between the review update, the helpful content update, the November core update, with the October core update. So there was a ton of stuff in the last 2 months, and it's a little bit hard from my perspective to analyze what's going on, what dials were turned. So there's a couple things that I've noticed that I don't have in detail yet, but I'm seeing a lot of examples of the 3-packs are getting pushed way down, or even missing completely. So you can see here's 2 screenshots. There's a before and after. You can see the after. Where's the 3-pack? It's like on page 4. Like, you just keep scrolling down and down. Of course, on mobile, it's going to be a little bit different. This was on desktop, but there's a lot of, and this really is occurring on longer tail queries in Google. So the main queries still have the 3-pack near the top, but the longer tail queries, they're way pushed down. So you might want to focus a little bit more on the organic and that kind of thing. So check your search consoles, see what's going on with your rankings, if you're checking that way. Another thing I noticed is the secondary categories in your Google profile have increased in importance. And this is kind of the opposite of what happened in the March update, where the secondary categories were reduced in importance. And now it seems like that dial got turned a little bit back the other way. And so just double check all your secondary categories, just to make sure that you're covering everything that you need to cover. Like I said, that's why I add all those new ones all the time. So just because it may not be your main category, you can add it as a secondary category. It's a little bit, it's very niche specific. So for example, if you're looking for a computer repair, and you have a secondary category as like telephone repair or something like that, it's kind of, that's where it's kind of, they've been playing with how broad is the keyword. If we're talking like on the ad side, how broad is that secondary category matching to that? So you might see some fluctuations in some of your secondary categories. So that's something to look out in your local Falcon scans, for example. And to come back to the 3-packs getting pushed lower, unfortunately, for the organic people, the ads are just more prominent, right? So now we have the LSAs and we have the regular ads that are going to be much more prominent, especially if those 3-packs are getting pushed down. So I'll move it over to Justin now, and he'll talk about the ads and how do we get more optimization out of the ads, and a better ROI out of that thing. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'll let Justin take over. If there's any questions, make sure you put them in the chat. I don't see anything yet, so we'll take them at the end or as we go along. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Jan. So before we get into the exciting updates and insights we've learned about our work with Performance Max, I wanted to quickly review the mechanics of what is Performance Max and how does it work. Performance Max rolled out in early 2021. It was built as the next generation of the automated ad solutions, aka smart shopping campaigns, where you as a marketer are relieved of worrying about CPCs and ad rank, etc. It's more about where can my ad show to achieve my goals of high return on ad spend or lower cost per acquisition. As you can see here, Performance Max gives you the opportunity within one campaign to appear on 6 of the largest consumer sites, ranging from YouTube to search to maps. And when we dig into Performance Max for a second, as you set up a Performance Max campaign, you are confronted with the requirement to tell the campaign what your goals are. And this could be ranging from brand awareness to lead generation to sales, online, offline, or store visits. From there, the behind the scenes, the mechanics of how Performance Max works is it identifies where that consumer is in the marketing funnel, and then will test the waters and put out your assets that you provide into Performance Max based on where they are in the funnel, ranging from the GDN, top of funnel, awareness with YouTube, or maybe lower funnel like maps and search. So there's no more need to specifically have multiple campaigns and put everything in one campaign that has a goal of achieving your objective of sales or return on ad spend, for example. And here's how it looks. So when you provide assets into Performance Max, and we'll get into a little bit more about this, whether it's text, video, images, etc., the ads you build, the assets you provide are ads that are built by Performance Max, and they run across, in this example, display. And you'll notice that this is New York Times, the food section. And the ads that appear are based on your behavior, based on the signals that Google has about you, where you are along the funnel. And obviously this is a forward ad, it's not related to food, but it's related to your interests. So it's there to capture you in your time of what you're looking for, unrelated to content. Similar here too, this screenshot this is a pre-roll of a Bronco ad for Wolf Motors, a company we made up, and it's about the best upcoming movies of 2023, unrelated to a Ford, but still it's something that Google has a signal. There's thousands of signals that Google has on you, understanding your intent and where you are in the funnel, and will show an ad when relevant. Again, on discovery here, this is the Google's answer to Instagram and scrolling content. There are ads populated in between content and articles that are relevant to what you're searching for. On Gmail, as well, you may have seen these. They're a little bit more disguised, where they appear to look like an email, but it does have the little ad badge there. And if you click on that at the top, it opens up into a larger image and text that then draws you to the site. Lastly, on maps, similar to how it would appear across the web, it's using images and text to help you find this dealership as you're searching on maps. Now, an interesting find that we discovered here is when you're setting up Performance Max asset groups, knowing that it's important to provide the highest quality images, text, and videos that you can, you'll notice that as you build this, there are requirements, there are minimum requirements. You have to provide 3 headlines with a maximum of 15. Now, just because you can do 15, more is not necessarily better. In fact, we found that 11 headlines submitted per asset group is an ideal number. The reason being is because it's dependent really on your budget. As you know, by submitting multiple headlines, Google is doing A/B testing for you on your behalf. And depending on your budget, if the budget is not excessive and your volume is not very high, it's going to take longer for Google to statistically significantly tell you which headlines are performing better than others. And then if you didn't know this too, you can see that if you're in an asset group and you go to view details, Google provides rankings based on best, good, and low by performance. And that data is provided to you when Google is able to cycle through your assets and with confidence say, these headlines specifically are the better performers. So the recommendation here, best practice, is to comb through the details section of asset groups. When you find low performers, swap them out with new headlines. And if you kind of are stuck and maybe not know, okay, what should I now be testing? There's a new feature we're going to show you in a few minutes on giving you ideas about this. So as we move down here, long headlines, you need at least 1. Google says maximum 5. We recommend about 2. Descriptions, you should put in about 4. And then images, this is a big one. Google wants to see you, obviously, at least 1 image, landscape and square, but a maximum of 20. But we find that 4 is a good number to start off testing and then get the insight and the data from Google to understand, okay, are these performing well? And then start swapping them out. So really, asset variety is kind of the key to success with Performance Max.
Right. Justin, if you don't mind me interjecting really quick to kind of point that out, right? I think one big concern or, problem that people have been having is getting their Performance Max campaigns to perform. So finding these sweet spots, but then also letting the AI work for you, but also listening to the AI, right? So it isn't just a set it and forget it kind of model. It's going to learn on its own, but it also relies on you as the manager to go through and see what's not working and to make those changes and swaps along the way in regards to headlines, images, and so forth, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's right. Yes, yeah, it's a good call out too. And then we also want to mention too, as kind of the manager of your account too, there are a lot of other features, a lot of other options that are not required when creating an asset group, but really a best practice is to include site links. And we recommend having 4. I think the minimum is 3, but we find that 4 out of the maximum 20 performs best. And lastly,
a quick question about images from Melody. She said 4 images each orientation or total. So I think orientation, but like for each landscape, right? Like 4 for each landscape, 4 for square.
Right. Yeah. So we got 4 images. You want to have 8 images, okay. for 4 of each. Yeah, Melody, if that takes third up, just let me know. Okay, great. And then also the other sure, thanks. The other question about should I run PMax with my other campaigns if I'm just starting to run ads on PMax? Let's see. Yes. Okay. So we'll get into a little bit more about that, but I think it's important to know that if you have an existing account and you're running, let's say, text ads, Performance Max will complement your text ads. There are insights that Performance Max will give you about the performance of that campaign, that you may not have in text, but also, and we'll get into this, I think, on the next slide too, regarding keywords, because a search campaign is a text campaign, and it's run by keywords that you input. There are no keywords that you input into Performance Max, so you want to have that right balance. So you can control more of ad serving from text, but also it creates a safety net, because the algorithm with Performance Max will serve the ad out of the campaign that Google is predicting will result in a higher performance. So I'll get into that in a minute with a little more detail. So that actually is, yeah, that's going to be the next slide. And when on the previous slide, when I said sometimes you may get stuck in developing out new text and now even new images, there is a generative AI option that is rolling out. Some accounts of ours have this, some don't. It should be fully rolled out. I heard whether it's end of this year or early next year. And what this option allows you to do is take advantage of Bard, really, with Google, and say, okay, here's my business, here's my description, here's my URL, here's what I do. You're creating kind of a customer profile, and then Google will recommend headlines and other text and also images. And you could view these and use them. There are some current policy structures in place where Google will obviously not violate their own ad policies to create images for you to use. And also it will not surface generative AI images with faces or logos or branding. So here, just want to play around with it just to test it out. Obviously it's new, and see if this is something that can generate some suggestions for you. Now, in order to get this option, your account has to be active and running for more than 30 days. It's only available in the US, and that's very specific. It's only available if your entire account is only targeting and built to the US. So if you have, unfortunately, you have a campaign that's targeted outside the US, and another that is US only, you won't get this option. It's only for accounts that are US only.
Yeah. A quick question just came in from Sam. He said, will Google let us turn off generative AI? He's a car dealer, so creating images or text may be a little bit scary for him. And I think it's only a tool. It's only there if you want to use it. So if you're managing your own campaigns, then you would just simply not use the generative tools. And then if someone's managing your campaigns for you, you would want to let them know to input, certain images or text. Correct, Justin?
That's right. Yeah, it is an option. It's not going to be a requirement. Google will not generate images and texts and use them. There are actually some safety some kind of ways to make sure this is not happening. So you can actually see which under your asset groups, there's a tab called combinations, and that actually does show you your assets that are running. So you can comb through that and see what possibly could be wrong there, and then make changes. So yes, that is because Google, I'm thinking about it now too. There is another beta that's in campaign settings that allows Google to scrape your site and find content from the site. So it could use your site information and create ads off of that, but it's not as advanced as what we're looking at right here.
Right. And Google's never going to create images or text with the generative AI unless you push that button.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So you generate it, and then you review it, and then you approve it, and then you could use it. We've played around with it in a few accounts. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's brand new. We noticed too that we'll make suggestions for headlines or for descriptions. And what it's really pushing to do is is make you choose these suggestions that align to keywords that it knows there's a lot of traffic for, or keywords that are relevant to your final URL you see here. So it's there's definitely still the human element involved, but at least it kind of gives you a little bit of a some recommendations and some inspiration. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, to the bottom left, if you run ecom and you have a feed in Merchant Center and have access to Merchant Center Next, which is the newest version of Merchant Center, there's a tool called Product Studio that allows you to edit your images in there too. So we've played around with it as well. And if you have an image of, let's say, a model wearing a dress and it was from the spring and you want to make it for Christmas time, you can change the backgrounds. So it's a quick way to adjust images and not have to get brand new content. You can quickly just play around with it. And that also too, you review it and then you approve it before it goes live. Okay. Now, kind of talking about what we mentioned earlier, running, let's say, search campaigns alongside PMax, Performance Max. This beta, this is available in what's now called signals within Performance Max asset groups. Search themes is pretty innovative and pretty new. It's kind of giving us what we wanted, which is being able to input some keywords into Performance Max, which is not really the intention here, but it allows you to seed a Performance Max asset group with search keyword themes. And whether these are, the use case really here is if you have a landing page that doesn't speak to the traffic you want to drive, you would layer in search themes that would help drive traffic to that page, which the content may not be what Google would think it would be. And when we talk about how efficient this could be, when you're running both text and Performance Max, these keywords that you enter, it will have the same in the middle, same prioritizations as phrase or broad match keywords. So what that means is when you have the option to enter a Performance Max campaign and a text campaign into an auction, Google will serve the ad out of the campaign where it's going to see the best performance from. Now, when there's an exact match keyword that appears in your text campaign, and it's also here in Performance Max, Google will favor the text campaign. Hopefully that makes sense. Any questions, just put into the chat. I'll further explain it. Now, really, the great thing about this and the way that we're using it is when you're creating a new asset group or even a new account, you want to, like I said, seed the campaign with these search themes because it will help the campaign ramp up faster and optimize faster. We usually see and say it takes about 2 weeks for a new campaign to ramp up. But by giving extra clues to Google about what this asset group is about, it would help you get there faster. Okay. So we wanted to quickly talk about how we helped work with a new product that Google brought to us. Back in April, we were part of the Performance Max with Vehicle Fee pilot. And this was a partnership we worked with Google to see how this new product would perform compared to standard vehicle listing ads or VLAs. When we ran a pilot with, I think it was 5 different accounts, we noticed that once we had that initial ramp up period of about 2 weeks, we compared results by running a test and control campaigns and saw that during the 4-week period, these campaigns that we were managing that were now the new Performance Max with vehicle feed campaigns had a 48% increase in conversions, a 41% increase in conversion value, and saw a 19% improvement in cost per conversion. Now, these results, we're not operating in a bubble here. So what we did was we spoke to Google about this, and what they said was that on average, advertisers that use Performance Max campaigns see an average increase of just 18% in total incremental conversions. So our best practices and our work led to a higher performance on Performance Max than what Google saw for a larger pool of advertisers that were testing this out. And then we also, Kelly, I think we have a link for the full case study. If anybody wants to read that, Kelly, you can put into the chat, right? Thank you.
Give me just 1 second. Let me grab that for everyone.
Okay, wonderful. And then lastly, too, just a quick plug for us. We offer a solution that Jan and I have kind of elaborated on today, where we have what's called done for you ads and done by you ads. The first solution here is that it's a fully managed solution. You work with our team to help optimize and grow your search exposure and your Performance Max campaigns using and leveraging our experience in our teams and our tools. Now, if you want to take this on yourself, you can still use our tools and we'll help you with the setup. And then you kind of off on your own doing this as the done by you solution. And so both of these are great solutions, and we see great success with hundreds of advertisers. And lastly, too, Jan is part of the team that helps with the done for you listings. So these are fully managed local listings on Google, Apple, Microsoft, and others. And then conversely, too, a done by you solution, leveraging our suite of solutions and our platform to manage your your locations at scale across Google, Apple, and Microsoft.
Yeah. We did have a quick question kind of in regards to the ads. It came through our chat, so I just wanted to kind of call that one out first for you, Justin. For PMax with vehicle ads, he was asking, do you just run the vehicle ads or do you mix this in with all assets? And were those conversions seen only in the VA asset, or did it include other elements put into PMax?
Okay, yes, so it's a little bit of a tricky answer. Hopefully you'll understand. If you're looking at your campaigns right now, and these are the auto upgraded campaigns that happened, I think, in October. These are campaigns that were VLAs, traditional vehicle listing ads, and they were upgraded to Performance Max with vehicle feed. If you don't touch them, you don't edit it and don't add assets, you are essentially running VLAs, but they're called Performance Max. If you do edit them, you have to give Google those headlines and images, etc. So it will run VLAs with the feed. It will also run image ads and other ads alongside with VLAs. Now, the difference with getting the upgrade allows your feed to run in Google Shopping, and which prior VLA campaigns could not do. So you are exposed to more inventory, and it's definitely our recommendation to give Google the assets to run across all of these surfaces. So you are training Google, and it's finding the right shoppers for you. It's not limiting your exposure to just the shopping channel if you have that upgraded account with no other additional assets. So hopefully that helped. If not, just put another question in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And now we're kind of moving into our live Q&A section. I know that we have answered questions along the way, but we'll dive into some of the questions that are still there. And if you have any outstanding questions, feel free to add them. I think we have a little bit of time to get into a few of these. So kind kind of hopping back to the SEO perspective, at the beginning of the call, we had a question asking about 3-packs and how they're good for SEO and kind of what that means. So Jan, I'll kind of let you take that one really quick.
Yeah, it's kind of a general question, so it's hard to know exactly. I mean, obviously you want to rank in a 3-pack when you have a local listing, regardless if it's high in the SERP or low in the SERP, you want to be there because Google is shifting things around, and that's, for desktop. For mobile, it's going to be completely different. If someone's searching on maps, you're going to show up there or not. So we focus on the 3-pack for, to help us get a gauge of where you're at, because that's where your maximal visibility is. If you're in the top 3, that's usually about what people will check on maps when you're scrolling around. They're going to compare the reviews on the first 3. Google gives you a 3-pack in the desktop view on purpose because they know that's about where people are, they're comparing in their mind before they click. And so definitely you want to maximize your visibility in the 3-pack if you're a local business.
Awesome. Thank you. And then kind of hopping back to Performance Max, I think we have some questions surrounding that, which we're not surprised. So one of the first questions is kind of just asking, other than having less campaigns, because PMax kind of brings everything into one, so you can have to manage less things across multiple campaigns. What's the real benefit of Performance Max, and how can they sell that to their clients? So I'm assuming this is probably a marketing agency just understanding how to implement this and how to shift their mindset and help their clients shift their mindset on switching to Performance Max.
When I was at Google, I apologized for Performance Max, actually, because Google built Performance Max as a solution to a problem that Google created. So if you go back to, let's say, 2011, and I was selling display campaigns and mobile campaigns and video campaigns, and there were all different campaign types. And we said to agencies, you need to provide Google or provide the campaign with the goal and with your target return and your budget by campaign. So agencies responded and built out teams that only manage display campaigns or video campaigns and only cared about that in driving traffic, driving customer acquisitions. And now with Performance Max, Google is saying, just roll everything into one and just have one goal, one budget. But then agencies are left with saying, well, what do we do about our teams that used to manage this on their own? And it's a problem that still exists, unfortunately. And really the recommendation here, or kind of the key way to look at this, is to reassign or realign the teams to focus on higher strategic thinking or higher initiatives, and put a lot of the day-to-day work, such as manipulating keyword performance or looking at CPCs or auction insights. And that's what Google is hoping to train and get clients to not focus on, is the minutia of all this, and let Google's AI and black box handle this, and you just feed high quality assets and information to Google and let it perform best for you. And the reason why this is important is because the algorithm with Performance Max is much more advanced than Max CPC or Smart Shopping. And it will take in real time insights. It's learning as it's putting out ads on display or YouTube or text, and it's teaching itself where and how it should be serving, to whom, how much it should be bidding. And in the long run, it will outperform these standalone campaigns. And also, you don't have to manage all these assets across different campaigns. You just run one Performance Max campaign, load it up there. And if you remember earlier, I said too, you want to run text campaigns, so the search campaigns alongside Performance Max. You want to run RSAs, responsive search ads, in your search campaigns alongside Performance Max, because you still want to retain some of that control with a text campaign, but allow Performance Max to fill the gaps of what text cannot do for you.
Right. And I mean, PMax also helps you track ROI a little bit better, right, Justin? So instead of having to track a campaign's, clicks, impressions, and all these other metrics, you really can focus on what should matter to the business that needs the ads, is the return on investment.
Correct. That's going to take a big mindset where you're training clients, training agencies to no longer be concerned about CPCs. It's more about your return that you're getting from the ad campaigns.
And our next one says Microsoft ? Because Microsoft also has Performance Max, and it's also called Performance Max. So I know today was focused on Google, but Microsoft does have Performance Max. We do help our clients with it. Is there anything else you kind of want to add there, Justin?
Microsoft performs really well for certain niche demographics and categories, and in some cases it outperforms Google because of the demographics that Microsoft lends itself to. Prior to working at Google, I worked at AOL. This is back from 2003 to 2011, and the audiences that were on AOL were very high quality. And we worked with advertisers who ran on AOL with us and also ran on Google and saw higher performance, higher returns on AOL, but the volume wasn't there. So it's good to have that mix, to have kind of a portfolio and a diversified portfolio across what you're doing with your ad spend. And you still want to pay attention to the smaller pieces and the larger pieces.
Yeah, like we always recommend, if our clients are running ads on Google, especially Performance Max, that we go ahead and get them set up on Microsoft, because you, in theory, already have a lot of the content and assets created. So to kind of diversify your reach and make sure that you're reaching both, Google has a huge user base, but people are also very intentionally on Microsoft, especially people that use their work computers and that kind of thing. So definitely don't want to miss the opportunity there. And if you're already doing Google, then you might as well be doing Microsoft.
Right.
Awesome. And then we did have a question kind of about pricing. That's a little bit difficult. All of our pricing is very customizable based on kind of your industry, whether you have inventory, whether you're just doing local listing management or ads. So I'll drop our email here. We would just need to get a little bit more information about what exactly you're looking for and make sure that, we're not giving you anything that you don't need. So that one I'll kind of leave for after the call, but we can definitely follow up and help you with anything that you're looking for, or just try to give you the best information so you can make a decision. Cool. And then we do have another one about Performance Max. So this one is a little bit more specific. They're asking, there's a specific minimum budget amount that's recommended for testing PMax campaigns. Most of our clients have limited budgets, about $500 a month, and they haven't found much success with PMax compared to other search campaigns.
Yeah, it could take a while to fully answer this question. It depends, on and what we saw earlier on the quality of the assets that are being provided. Is this a national campaign? Is it regional? What does the landing pages look like? So there's a lot of different variables that go into the success of Performance Max, but there's also a lot of levers that you have control with when you run Performance Max. So part of our onboarding process is that we fully audit an account. So when we take on an account, we'll see what's going on right now in the account and then make recommendations to improve it. So just some of these, we want to make sure that you are tracking conversions, whether I saw this question about calls, and yeah, you can do call conversions to make conversion. It could be e-com, just tracking the actual dynamic values of checkouts. It could just be a page view. So assigning the right value for a conversion is very important, because that's a very important clue to Google to go after traffic that is signaling itself to Google that this is what people are intending to do. And by default, when you set up a conversion, the value is $1. And as you are aware, if your CPCs are near $1 or less, there's less arbitrage between what Google has to pay to get you that click versus the value it's going to derive out of that click. So by simply just auditing and reviewing the conversion values you have for each conversion, and that's found up in the upper right in the tools and settings, and then you go to conversions, and you can see all the ones that have been set up. Make sure that you've been tracking correctly. That's the first step. And if the value is more realistic, then you also want to look at audiences too. So there's another advanced feature called customer match. So if you have the ability to get hashed data, so get actual customer data, upload it to Google Ads, it will then start building out audiences and finding people that are similar to those audiences. And you could also even exclude that audience you uploaded if they're already customers. And you can tell Google to go after only new customers. So there are different ways to manipulate this and to set this up to achieve it. And $500 is still a healthy budget for this. Depending on your volume, depending on the clicks you're getting, the conversions, the impressions, it could take longer than 2 weeks to get the ramp up to see if it's effective. But also there is a way to see, Google will tell you how many days it takes for it to kind of count a conversion. And the longer the number of days, that conversion lag will then affect how you report out. So if, for example, it takes 15 days for Google to confidently say, we have calculated all the right conversions for you, you remember when you do a look back window to remove the latest 15 days and only look at a previous longer out time frame.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that kind of goes to some of the other questions where people are asking about the goal and the conversion. So, if you can't buy online, but your conversion is set to a purchase, that may be something that needs to be adjusted as well. So lots of levers and triggers.
Yeah, well, okay. So you can do offline conversion import too. So if you think about purchasing that happens in store, there are ways to bring that data into Google. But then, yeah, one of the easiest ways too is just set up a conversion that tracks what's in the checkout page.
Awesome. I think we're running out of time here. So I did just drop a few resources into the chat for everyone to see. And that's in the chat section, not the Q&A section. Just wanted to kind of say that I know we didn't get to everyone's question, but thank you everyone for joining. We do have these resources, so if we weren't able to get to your question today, please feel free to reach out to us. We do have the private Facebook group, which you're all more than welcome to join. You can ask your question there. Not only will we answer you, but there's also like-minded individuals that may have experience or knowledge and be able to chime in on any questions that you have as well. So please make sure to join that and we can get to any of the questions that we didn't today. And then in the chat, we also dropped our email and some other resources from our monthly newsletter to webinar notifications to make sure that you're signed up for future webinars and recordings and all of that good stuff. I know we also got a topic recommendation. So Sam, thank you for that. We're always looking for new topics and ways that we can inform all of you and make sure that we're bringing you content that you enjoy and that's helpful for your business. So we will take that into consideration and try to get that on the books. But I think that concludes today's webinar. And again, thank you everyone for joining.